What is going on YouTube? Espresso Shuckle here, and today we are hitting the Regulation F ranked ladder with this Hisuian Goodra and Galarian Moltres team. This team has been incredibly fun to practice with. We did some matches off camera with the Goodra going incredibly hard. Moltres did some good work as well, and I am excited to dive into these battles. We have one of two routes to go with. We have a Goodra route or a Moltres route to commit to. Regardless of which though, Comfey typically comes for both of them. We have Comfey to heal up Goodra as Goodra sets up its shelters, or we have Comfey to proc Moltres' weakness policy with a Draining Kiss and then heal up Moltres. But at the end of the day, Comfey is a pivotal member to this team. So if we go the Goodra route, we typically lead Goodra and Ogerpon. Ogerpon has followed me to redirect some attacks away from Goodra while Goodra goes up for the shelter. And once Goodra hits a high enough defense point, its body presses are going to do an insane amount of damage. We have Breaking Swipe to lower the attack stat on both of our targets at the same time, and then that way the rest of the team is taking less physical damage. And we have Heavy Slam for Fluttermane, because ghost types are the one thing that just kind of throw a wrench in Goodra's plans. With the body press, we do have the Heavy Slam and Breaking Swipe to do some damage to them, and plus it's satisfying hitting Fluttermane with a Heavy Slam. We have Shell Armor here on Goodra to protect it from critical hits, so we don't have to worry about those bypassing our defense boosts. And we also have Terra Poison on it to make it resistant to Sacred Sword, because that is another flaw in Goodra's plan of being able to set up its defense boost, because Sacred Sword can just bypass those. And honestly, Goodra really does not appreciate taking that. And on top of that, we have the safety goggles here on Goodra to protect it from Rage Powder redirecting its attacks away, and we have it to protect it from being spored and therefore put to sleep. We could also go an offensive route with Ogerpon by clicking Terra Fire, getting an attack boost from our Red Body aspect, and then just wailing on things with the Ivy Cudgel. We have Horn Leech to get back a little bit more HP, and then we have Spiky Shield to keep Ogerpon around, and then that way, if my opponent might think a Follow Me is coming, I can always click the Spiky Shield and then just potentially just do some damage to our opponent if they go for a physical attack. We have Urshifu here as another damage dealer with the Terra Water Surging Strike synergy. We have Close Combat to dent things. We have U-Turn to pivot Urshifu out of a bad matchup. And we have a Focus Sash on Urshifu to help ensure that we keep it around if we know we're going to take an attack that's going to do an insane amount of damage to us. As far as Moltres goes, we have 3 offensive moves here with Fiery Wrath for some great spread dark type coverage. We have Air Slash to just hit things and potentially make them flinch, and we have Shadow Ball in case we run into a Fluttermane. That's specifically what it's there for. I might switch out Shadow Ball in the future for maybe Nasty Plot or Sucker Punch, especially since Sucker Punch would also benefit from the weakness policy on giving Moltres a +2 attack stat as well. So we might throw Sucker Punch there or Nasty Plot, and then that way we don't necessarily have to rely on Comfey just immediately proccing the weakness policy. And then let's talk about Comfey on that note. We have Comfey's Triage ability, which gives it a +3 priority to any healing move, and that includes healing moves that do damage such as Draining Kiss and Giga Drain. So the nice thing here is with that +3 priority, we can actually get ahead of Fake Out and Follow Me, and then we don't have to worry about Draining Kiss being redirected away from Moltres. And the same thing applies to Floral Healing, but the big thing about Draining Kiss having that +3 priority is we can get ahead of the likes of Single Strike Urshifu or priority attackers like, say, Extreme Speed Mons. If they're already weakened off, we could potentially secure a KO with Comfey that way. And if we need to heal up Goodra or Moltres, that Floral Healing doesn't have to worry about being redirected as well. And finally, the nice little bit of tech that we have on the Comfey is Tailwind. Not a lot of people expect the Tailwind coming from Comfey, so basically here, Goodra's the slowest thing on the team. Everything else appreciates speed. If we don't bring Tornadus, my opponent might think, oh, there's no Tailwind, and then Comfey goes, surprise! And we get that Tailwind off. And that can be incredibly handy for a +2 Moltres, or even just a Terra Water Urshifu or Terra Fire Ogerpon, just to benefit from having that speed mode turned on. And then we have Tornadus here with Air Slash for some good flying type coverage. We have the Prankster Tailwind to ensure that we do get the speed up, and we have Icy Wind to not only provide a little bit of chip damage to our opponent, but to also slow them down with a speed drop. Anyways, that's the team in a nutshell. Let's jump on into some battles. All right, my opponent here has Charizard, Tornadus, Ursaluna, the original, Walking Wake, Farigiraf, and Chi-Yu. Wonder who the Trick Room setter is. Okay, so Hisuian Goodra might not be bad here. We do have the Ogerpon and the Moltres as well. I kind of like the idea of having the Moltres get set up relatively quick, and then that way we can go for as much damage as possible. We have a decent special defense stat on Galarian Moltres, so that might not be the worst thing imaginable for us. We can bring in the Comfey as well, and then that way we can use that to set up Moltres. Goodra could be in the back, just waiting to go, and then we can also have the Urshifu. And what my opponent might not be expecting is the fact that Comfey gets Tailwind. This could go really, really good or really, really bad. Let's find out. So, yeah, I like the idea of potentially going for, depending on what they lead with, a Tailwind with Comfey turn 1, protecting with Moltres, and then going for the setup. So I might be able to do something like this. Okay, so the Moltres here versus the Walking Wake and the Torn does not look bad at all. We might just trade Tailwinds, to be completely honest. So I'm going to go with the Protect on Moltres. We're going to get our own Tailwind, and then that way we can go for the Fiery Wrath. Unfortunately, Torn and Walking Wake are both naturally faster than Moltres, so we could be in a little bit of a pickle. But that said, Comfey is speedy itself. They're gonna get the Photosynthesis boost. It's a special attack Photosynthesis as well, so that's a little bit scary, but not the end of the world. We're gonna dodge the Draco Meteor. We now have our own Tailwind. So what we can do here is we can go for the Fiery Wrath and try to nail these two things, and we're gonna go for that Draining Kiss into our Moltres. This will do a little chunk of damage to Moltres, but we're going to get the weakness policy off. Let's see if they go for a Tailwind. Unfortunately, Moltres is going to get outsped by that Walking Wake, but we should be okay. So, special attack boosted Walking Wake is going for... Oh, we're actually faster. Nice. Okay. Do we get the flinch? We do. Nice. Okay, so we're going to go for another Fiery Wrath, and... Oh, yeah, that's right, because we have the Tailwind. Duh, we have Tailwind. We're just going to heal up Moltres. Or no, they also have Tailwind. Never mind. I don't know. I don't know, guys. I thought I figured it out, but they're just slower than Moltres, so both of these things must have been running bulk. But anyways, we pick up the double KO with the Moltres. Let's go. Weakness policy, and on top of that, full HP. Let's go, Moltres. Let's see how this works out here for the last two. So, what do we got? It is going to be Ursaluna the Radiant, which makes me wonder... Ooh, it's shiny too. Very nice shiny, by the way. And Yu. Oh, it's Chi-Yu. Okay. Alright. So, we have Ursaluna in the back, and we have Goodra. So, I think what we want to do is, I think we want to try to get rid of that Chi-Yu as fast as possible. And we're gonna go for the Draining Kiss to get a little bit of damage to protect off Ursaluna. Yeah, that makes sense. They might be confident in whatever fire type attack is coming into Moltres, which is completely fair. Chi-Yu just absolutely nails things, and despite the shiny Galarian Moltres looking like a fire type, it's not. So we might be in a little bit of a... Okay. They're going for violence. They chose violence here with that nasty plot. So, we're going for an Air Slash into you. And then what we're going to do is... We're going to go for a Protect. We're going to go for a Protect first. So, our Tailwind is gone. I want their Tailwind gone too. I'm a little bit scared of that Chi-Yu, and they might try to set up again, which could be a little bit scary. That said, I'm pretty certain we saw the Moltres go before the Chi-Yu, so we might be fine here. So what does the Ursaluna want to do? Is it Facade? I don't think I saw a Flame Orb go off. Hard Press, okay. That's interesting. Good damage. That would have been good damage into my Comfey. The sun is gone, so that's nice. We don't have to worry about Urshifu having its Surging Strikes removed in power, or weakened. Reduced, that's the word I wanted, not removed. And yeah, we did see the Flame Orb go off the previous turn, so their Tailwind is gone. I'm gonna go for a fire. I'm gonna go for the Air Slash and try to get this Chi-Yu, and I'm gonna try to get another Tailwind. So we might pick up the flinch, and if we we didn't. No point in finishing that thought. We get a Berserk boost. The Ursaluna went for the Comfey, so we might see... Oh, they got a double burn, but good thing we're special attackers. The Ursaluna went for a hard press last turn into the Comfey slot, so we might see it do that again. So we should be able to get our Tailwind off. Okay, we get our Tailwind. Now the question is what's going to happen next? They're going to go Facade, or yeah, Facade. I'm a little all over the place with my words today, but anyways. The Facade knocks out Comfey, but we now have our Tailwind back, so we're gonna have a nice quick Urshifu sweep into that Ursaluna. Maybe. Maybe. Okay, so anyways, Urshifu's gonna come in here, and I would love, with a capital L, to Surging Strikes that thing. And the nice thing here too is Chi-Yu is going to be slower than both of these things thanks to the Tailwind. If they want to protect with Ursaluna, be my guest, I'll hit right through it. And Moltres should be okay at +3 to knock out Chi-Yu at that range with the Fiery Wrath. So I think we're in a decent position at the end of the day. So here comes the Terra. What is it going to be? Is it the Chi-Yu or is it the Ursaluna? It's the Ursaluna. They went Ghost. That's fine. I went for the Surging Strikes. I was honestly expecting a Terra normal, but I will definitely take that. We're going to get the damage off into this thing. Unfortunately, it's not doing a whole lot now that it lost the weakness to water, but yeah, it should probably be KO range for the Fiery Wrath. So Moltres is going to pick them off both right there with that Fiery Wrath and that Ursaluna. Oh, that Ursaluna. Not only did it become weak to Fiery Wrath, it took a crit from Fiery Wrath, but anyways, I'm okay with that. Moltres definitely did what it needed to do. I was genuinely shocked that we were faster than both the Walking Wake there and the Torn, but I'll take it. Also, good game to my opponent. Alright, my opponent here has Amoonguss, Urshifu, Tornadus, Hisuian Arcanine, Landorus, and Fluttermane. So, this might be an okay matchup for Moltres, especially if we get some speed set up. The nice thing here is we do have the Terra Poison on Moltres to resist Fairy-type attacks from the Fluttermane, but at the same time, we do have a slight problem in the fact that Landorus would then be able to hit Moltres with Ground-type attacks. So, might have to figure out something quick. Fluttermane could also still be a problem for Urshifu, but Torn and Urshifu together might not be the worst combination, especially since we could always go for a Surging Strikes into that Arcanine. Now, the Amoonguss does wall. The Amoonguss does wall out my Urshifu, but I do have the Goodra, so what I could potentially do here is I could go Goodra Ogerpon, and then that way I can potentially redirect away a close combat from the Urshifu into my Goodra. I can go for Shelter, and then if I do take a close combat, at +2, my Hisuian Goodra should be okay. So I think we'll bring Goodra, Ogerpon, and Comfey, and then that way we can heal up the Goodra as it gets worn down, and worst case scenario, we pivot into the Moltres option for the team. So I should be okay. The nice thing here too is I do have Breaking Swipe, so I do have a spread option on the Goodra to do a little bit of chip damage to my opponent. So what is it going to be? It is the Fluttermane and the Tornadus. All right, so not the most ideal for my Goodra, but what I could potentially do here is go for the Shelter, get a little bit of defense, and I could just try to Ivy Cudgel the Fluttermane. And honestly, I really don't like the... I don't dislike the idea of just popping Terra on Ogerpon and going for a Cudgel. I don't even... What I'm going to do is I'm going to go for the Heavy Slam into the Fluttermane, and I'm going to Terra and go for an Ivy Cudgel into the Tornadus, and then that way too, I'll get an attack boost into my Ogerpon, and I should do some major damage. If they go for a Rain Dance, not the best for my Ogerpon, but at the same time, we're still going to do a considerable amount of damage since the Embody aspect will give us a free +1 to our attack stat. And the nice thing here is we now resist both the Fairy type attacks while being neutral to Bleak Wind Storm, so we don't have to worry that much. And all they did was go for a Tailwind and a Shadow Ball, so Ogerpon should take this no problem. We are a bulky Ogerpon, so we do have that working in our favor. We're going to get the Ivy Cudgel off, and if this is not a Focus-Sashed Fluttermane, Heavy Slam's going to do some good damage here. Yeah, that's nice. Fluttermane was the big thing to scare off my Moltres, and now we don't have to worry about that. So depending on what they bring in here, I could go for a Follow Me with the Ogerpon. If it's Urshifu, I can go for that Follow Me and then go for a Shelter and then get my +2 defense. So it is going to be the Urshifu, and good to know that it is actually single strike Urshifu. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Shelter, and they do have a Tailwind up, so I'm going to go for the Follow Me. We'll lose out on our Ogerpon's Terastallization, but I want to get Goodra set up, and then that way we can start body pressing things. So we do have that working in our favor. Bleak Wind Storm's going to come out. Unfortunately, that's going to be enough to just finish off Ogerpon, which means we might take a lot of damage here with a close combat from the Urshifu. So that's not the greatest, but... Oh, they went for Wicked Blow. I'm assuming they thought the close combat was coming, so we'll get the Shelter off. We can bring in Comfey, and we can go for a Body Press just straight up into Urshifu and go from there. Based off the amount of damage they did, I'm assuming that might be a Choice Band, because that was a lot. And the other thing, too, is we are also... we're also Shell Armor on Goodra, so they can't get the guaranteed critical hits. So maybe what I'll do is I'll go for a Floral Healing, and then this way we can scout to see if it's a Choice Banded Urshifu. If they go for another Wicked Blow into Goodra, that might be the tell. So Goodra actually avoids this Bleak Wind Storm, which is going to be nice. Comfey is going to take some damage. Alright, so we haven't seen the close combat. We do get up to +4 into our defense. We also saw the Focus Sash on the Torn, so here's where we're going to get a little funny. We're going to Body Press into the... No, we're going to Breaking Swipe so that we guarantee to hit the entire field. We're actually going to Drain and Kiss the Urshifu. They're at -2, or no, they haven't gone for a single close combat, but they are at 4 times weak to Fairy. And they had a Focus Sash on their Torn, so Comfey is going to get a lot of HP back here. This is where we're going to get funny with it. So we're going to have some fun with Comfey, and my opponent's going to have to try to get Comfey off the field, otherwise Comfey is just going to start terrorizing them. This should also be, I think, their last turn of Tailwind. So we almost one-shot the Urshifu, and we have the Breaking Swipe coming out for this exact reason. So there's another Wicked Blow. So I'm really thinking it is choice locked into a Choice Band. Otherwise, we probably would have seen a close combat by now. So We get rid of the Urshifu with the Breaking Swipe. Comfey just did so much damage to it and gained so much HP back. So now what we can do, depending on what comes in here for the last Pokemon, is we can just use Goodra to body press things. We have Heavy Slam, and we have the Breaking Swipe, so my opponent has seen Goodra's entire moveset at this point, so unless they have something that has, like, say, Sacred Sword or Darkest Lariat, I think Goodra is in a good position at the end of the day. So, who is going to be the last Pokemon? The one thing I do have to be concerned about, though, is if it's Landorus, because it can hit you with super effective damage. So, it is the Landorus. So, what I would like to do is I would like to go for a body press into that thing and heal up Goodra. We're at +4 defense, so body press, despite being resisted, should still do a considerable damage to Landorus. And maybe I get lucky, they go for a Sludge Bomb into the Comfey slot. And if they do, great. So then Goodra can just do what it wants to do. It's going to go for an Earth Power into Goodra. That's going to bring me down to 3 HP, but Goodra's just going to live that. We did a considerable amount to the Landorus, all things considered, so Goodra can go down here, and I want Comfey to pick off the Torn with the Draining Kiss, and then that way we can turn it into a 2v1 with Moltres versus Landorus. So here comes the Sludge Bomb. Comfey's gonna live. Wonderful. Torn is gone, so now Landorus has to choose between Goodra or Comfey, and we're going to get the Breaking Swipe off for a little bit of chip, and that does put it into body press range, so we do have that. I'm going to go for the body press, and I'm going to go for a Draining Kiss just to try to get rid of the Landorus. So Draining Kiss almost knocked it out. I'm pretty happy with the amount of damage, and if they go for Sludge Bomb, Goodra finishes it. They went for the Earth Power in... Okay. But it failed, so how does that work? Do they Earth Power into their Torn slot? I don't know. Anyways, that worked out pretty good at the end of the day for me. Good game to my opponent. Alright, we have Rillaboom, Abomasnow, Hisuian Arcanine, Iron Bundle, Alolan Ninetales, and Amoonguss. Alright, this is interesting. And also, Ogerpon looks insanely good here. Yeah, I really like the look of Ogerpon here. We could maybe go Ogerpon and Torn. We could maybe go Ogerpon and Goodra. Actually, let's bring Ogerpon Goodra, because here's the thing. Iron Bundle might have decent defense, but it's not going to appreciate the body press, and if it wants to go for Encore, great. Ogerpon can just bonk it, so we can do that. I think Urshifu might want to come in the back. We definitely bring Comfey so that we can heal up either Goodra or Ogerpon, and then it really does not look good for Moltres, but we could bring the Urshifu. So I think we're going to bring the Urshifu, and then that way we have access to the U-turn, so we could go from there. And plus, my opponent might not expect a Tailwind coming off of Comfey, so we could do that. So we'll see how that works out. Because Comfey tend to carry Trick Room or Helping Hand as their fourth move, so the nice thing here is I actually have the speed button with Comfey. So we have Abomasnow and Arcanine leading into my Goodra and my Ogerpon. So a Rock Slide into Ogerpon could be bad, but it wouldn't be the worst thing imaginable. And we can always go for a Body Press just right out of the gate into the Arcanine, or we could go for a Shelter. So I think we go for the Cudgel into the Abomasnow and we go for the Shelter. And then that way we get our +2 off, unless we take a Rock Slide and flinch, which could happen, but at least we're resistant. We're neutral to Ice, we resist Grass, we're neutral to Fire, and we resist Rock. So a lot of the coverage options, at least a lot of the stab options, are going to be neutral to Goodra, so Goodra can get set up, and we can always go for the Floral Healing with Comfey. So it's not a bad dynamic to be in, and plus we're just going to straight up get ahead of the Abomasnow with the Cudgel. That's gone, so if they wanted to go for Aurora Veil, that's going to get denied until Ninetales potentially comes in. We eat the Rock Slide with the Ogerpon, but that's okay for Goodra. We get the Shelter off, so we'll get the Shelter off. We can always go for a Horn Leech into the Arcanine to get a little bit of chip into it, or we could just switch in Comfey. The Iron Bundle is coming in, so I don't want to get locked into Shelter with Encore. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow me with Ogerpon, and I am going to Body Press into the Arcanine. Or do I want to Body Press into the bundle? Alright, here comes the Terra option. So if this is Terra normal into Arcanine, I'd really appreciate that. It's the bundle, so it's Terra Ghost Iron Bundle. Alright, so we're not going to be able to hit this thing with Body Press, but we can at least go for the Follow Me with Ogerpon. If there's a potential Encore coming, Goodra's not going to be locked into Shelter. So there's the Aurora Veil off of the Iron Bundle. That's good to know. A +2 super effective Body Press should be decent into the Arcanine, but I do have to be careful I don't flinch. So we do get the Body Press, that's great. We almost take out the Arcanine. So there's no way Comfey is going to be providing enough speed for it to get past the bundle, but a Draining Kiss should do some decent damage into the bundle. So I don't dislike that, and we potentially can see a Rillaboom, Ninetales, or a Moongus, so I think a Breaking Swipe is not the worst thing imaginable, and then that way we hit both of them. So we get a decent chunk to the bundle. We're going to take a Blizzard, which Goodra is going to be neutral to. We're going to take a Flare Blitz. We're at +2 into our defense, so we do get burned. That is unfortunate, because now Body Press will even take a bit of a drop. So we'll get an attack drop off into the Arcanine, which is going to be big. Probably should go for a Floral Healing into Goodra and try to keep it around. And we can always go for another Shelter into Goodra and then try to get its defense up, and we can try to Body Press the Arcanine. They're going to switch that out, which is good. Rillaboom's going to come in, so the Grassy Terrain is going to give me a little bit of extra recovery, which is definitely appreciated for Goodra. We'll get the Floral Healing off with Comfey, and I don't mind this. We're going to take another Blizzard. It's neutral to Goodra. We're burned with Goodra, so we don't have to worry about freezing. And honestly, getting another Shelter off is not bad in front of the Rillaboom, because now Rillaboom's going to be not doing as much damage to Goodra. So we could Breaking Swipe and just try to whittle them down. So there is that. And I don't mind Floral Healing Goodra one more time as well. And then that way Goodra can go for that. Yeah, we'll go for the Breaking Swipe, and then that way we're not potentially getting locked into a Body Press, because, you know, the Iron Bundle isn't into it. So we can try that. Here comes a Fake Out into Goodra. Not the worst thing. They're just going for another Blizzard, so what we could do with Comfey is we could go for a Draining Kiss into the bundle and get a little bit more HP back. The snow has officially stopped, so we don't have to worry about the Blizzard being able to guaranteed hit us. This is potentially the last turn. Yeah, this is the last turn of their Aurora Veil, because they were Booster Energy. So that is nice for Goodra. You know what? I do think I'm going to body press the Rillaboom, just to be on the safe side. So we landed a crit into the bundle with Comfey, so Comfey is going to get a good chunk of HP back. That's nice. We're going to take a Grassy Glide with Comfey, which will bring us down to 28 HP. We're going to take a Freeze Dry into Goodra. That's great. And Goodra can still hit Rillaboom for a respectable amount of damage. Yeah. So Comfey is going to get a little bit of HP back, thanks to the terrain. We can go for the body press into Rillaboom and just wear it down. And the nice thing here, too, is we do have Urshifu in the back, so we could potentially get rid of that bundle with a Surging Strikes if we need it. Yeah, we're gonna Breaking Swipe and just try to get an attack drop off into the Rillaboom. It's going to be a slow but steady kind of battle for this one, unfortunately. But now that the Aurora Veil is gone, the Iron Bundle is just going to be taking so much more HP, or at least so much more damage. They still connect with a Blizzard, though, into Comfey. Here comes the high horsepower into Goodra. The burn is going to finish me off that way, but we can bring in the Urshifu and go from there. I think what we can do, too, is we can detect with Urshifu to try to get around the Grassy Glide. I think we've almost got the... Oh, hey, we actually live with Goodra. What we can do now is... This is the last turn of Grassy Terrain. We're going to go for the Floral Healing into Goodra. And we're going to go for a... We're going to go for a Heavy Slam into the Iron Bundle and just try to finish it off. Oh, they have Protect. Okay, so they did reveal that, but what I want to do is I want to get this HP back into Goodra. I'm worried they go for the Comfey with the Rillaboom, which they did. So that means Tailwind was just not going to do me any favors, but now we have the Urshifu, and Goodra's got a respectable amount of HP back. So I think what I have to do is I think I have to Heavy Slam and connect with that Iron Bundle. Otherwise, Urshifu is taking a... It's taking a Freeze Dry. But at the same time, I do have a Focus Sash. So I do have a little bit of insurance that way. So what I would like to do is I would like to try to finish off the bundle. And they just went Protect last turn, so I think we'll go for a Detect with Urshifu and we'll try to finish off the bundle. I think they switch Rillaboom out into Arcanine so that they can get their Grassy Terrain back. So that's going to happen. This might be enough to push Arcanine, or not Arcanine, Urshifu down where it can't, or no, it might be enough to push Goodra down to the point where it can't finish off the bundle now, so that could be a little bit of a problem. They do go for the Freeze Dry into Urshifu. They might have the Extreme Speed as well with the Arcanine, which I do have to be a bit weary of. But, yeah, they do survive the Heavy Slam. So, Goodra is going to have to put in a lot of work here. We're going to Surging Strikes into the bundle, and we're going to Body Press into the Arcanine. And then that way, if we can get rid of the bundle, we should be in an alright position against the Rillaboom. We have Shell Armor still working in our favor so that we can't take critical hits. So, if we get rid of the bundle, that's great. We had the physically defensive bonus of having Urshifu here. So, we body pressed into the Rillaboom slot, so we might be all right. That's okay. Urshifu went for the bundle, so we're going to get rid of that. Now, they can go for a Fake Out next turn, so I definitely am glad to see bundle finally gone. And we're going to get a little bit of chip into the Rillaboom. So that is not... Ooh, was that a crit? That might have been a crit. So I kind of wish I had Aqua Jet on my Urshifu now, but I don't. What I would like to do, though, is I would like to protect Rillaboom. Or not Rillaboom, Urshifu. I want to nail Rillaboom. But I'm going to protect with the Urshifu, and I'm going to go for the Body Press into the Arcanine. And then that way, we might be able to pull off a close combat into the Rillaboom with Urshifu. Or, I don't know if U-turn would be better because it's super effective. It's considerably lower power, and it doesn't have stab, though, so I might have to calculate later on my own time. But anyways, we'll go for the Detect. That'll protect us from a Fake Out into the Urshifu slot. They do have the Extreme Speed. We didn't see a Fake Out into Goodra, so we should pick that off. They're going to go for the high horsepower, which is fine. We're going to get our Body Press off and finish Arcanine finally. Now, we are at -2 attack with Urshifu, so the one thing here is if we can potentially stall out their terrain, Urshifu might be in a decent position. So how many turns of grassy terrain do we have left? We have 3. So we're going to click the close combat into the Rillaboom, and we're going to click the Body Press. So there's the Grassy Glide. It's not enough to actually bring me down to my Sash. So that's a decent amount of damage, and we're going to click that Body Press and just try to finish this thing off. There we go. So it was a little bit concerning and questionable if that would be enough with the burn, but we could have just gone for the Detect one more time and then just whittled it down with the Body Press. So we did have a nice steady pace there, so it worked out in the end for us. Good game to my opponent. Hey, thank you guys so much for checking out this Galarian, Moltres, and Hisuian Goodra team in action. We had 2 incredible matches for Goodra, and Moltres had a phenomenal game itself. We ended up going with the Tailwind route with Comfey and Moltres' game. We ended up getting the speed boost, and interestingly enough, despite having a Walking Wake and Tornadus staring down my Moltres, they were actually both slower than the Moltres, so despite us canceling out our own Tailwinds, Moltres was able to go for the Fiery Wrath after having it set up, and it did an insane amount of damage to the Tornadus and the Walking Wake. It made the Walking Wake flinch on the first hit, and then it picked up the KO on both the Tornadus and the Walking Wake with a second Fiery Wrath, while Comfey just completely healed up Moltres back to full HP with a Floral Healing, leaving a Ursaluna and Chi-Yu to come in. And the Nasty Plot Chi-Yu was a little bit concerning, but we were able to whittle it down with Moltres. We got our Berserk boost on top of that, so I really could not have asked for a better dynamic for my Moltres. The Ursaluna went Terra Ghost in front of my Moltres, which was a bit of a bold play, but that was to get around a close combat from my Urshifu once it came in after Comfey fainted. But luckily enough, we were able to just straight up take out both the Chi-Yu as well as the Ursaluna with Moltres' Fiery Wrath. As far as the Goodra games go, well, we led Goodra into Tornadus and Fluttermane in one, where the Fluttermane did not have the Focus Sash, so it just did not appreciate taking that heavy slam, while Ogerpon going for its Terra Fire Ivy Cudgel with the attack boost just brought the Tornadus down to its Focus Sash, bringing in Urshifu and Landorus Incarnate as the last 2 Pokemon. We were able to just do an insane amount of damage to the Urshifu with Comfey of all things, which just goes to show how scary that 4x Fairy Weakness on Urshifu is, paired with its lower special defense. So Comfey did a phenomenal job there, and then Goodra just set up right in front of the Urshifu and got tanky, and we just ended up... Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it was a really good showing for Comfey in that game, because Comfey also picked off the weakened Tornadus with its +3 priority Draining Kiss, and so Comfey and Goodra together were able to whittle down that Landorus, resulting in the KO. And then finally, in our third game, Goodra ended up getting burned after taking a Flare Blitz from the Hisuian Arcanine, but that did not slow down the Goodra. Body Press was still doing an insane amount of damage. We did a huge chunk to Rillaboom multiple times with the Body Press. The Terra Ghost Iron Bundle was the biggest problem to get around, but once that thing just dropped, we were able to secure the KO on the Rillaboom and the weakened Hisuian Arcanine with our Goodra. Honestly, all 6 of them came to all 3 of the games, which I'm pretty happy about, so let me know what you think of the team down in the comments below, and we'll see you there. Also, if you want to see more information about the team, there's going to be a Pokepaste in the description as well. Anyways, see you next time.